APEC summit draws its curtains, with the regional leaders gathering again next year in Shenzhen. Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan prompts employers to grant their voter staff a half-day off in support of Election Day. And Mainland's crewed spaceship Shenzhou 21 sets a new speed record, completing an autonomous docking with the space station in just 3.5 hours. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Cheryl Yun. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation has concluded its two-day summit in South Korea, where the 21-member economies called for stronger joint efforts to ensure growth benefits all in an evolving global landscape. President Xi Jinping announced China will host next year's meeting in Shenzhen. Jamie Liu reports.
Xi, accompanied by Chief Executive John Lee, was seen having a brief exchange with Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim before today's closing session. As China will take over next year's APEC chairmanship, Xi announced Shenzhen will host the next leaders' meeting. Xi said Shenzhen, near Hong Kong and on the Pacific coast, has grown from a fishing village into a modern global city in the past decades. The president said he looks forward to discussing development plans for the Asia-Pacific in the next gathering, creating a bright future for the region. He called on APEC to harness the potential of digital development, remain committed to green and low-carbon goals, and build an inclusive future. The Gyeongju summit took place as the regional bloc faces deepening fractures in the global trade order and days after Beijing and Washington agreed to a trade truce. In a joint declaration, the APEC leaders recognized continuous challenges in the global trading system and agreed that trade should promote resilience and deliver benefits to all. They also pledged cooperation to address issues linked to artificial intelligence and demographic changes. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Summarizing the key outcomes of his APEC trip, Chief Executive John Lee said he has reported to President Xi Jinping the social and economic development of Hong Kong and received his utmost support. The city leader also pledged to fully cooperate for next year's APEC meetings in Shenzhen. Jeremy Zhu reports.
Speaking to the press, Lee outlined what had been achieved during his visit. He cited key outcomes including advancing free trade, upholding multilateralism, harnessing AI innovation, and bolstering economic and cultural ties with the host South Korea. When asked whether Hong Kong would help organize some events for next year's APEC meetings in Shenzhen, Lee said while he was very motivated, the matter would be left to the central government to plan, and the SAR government would offer its full support. Regarding questions on whether he had discussed logical elections with Xi during his briefing on Hong Kong's situation, Lee said their exchange was brief, but he could feel the president's care.
I feel all along the sincere care of President Xi about Hong Kong and his staunch support for Hong Kong. I'm very grateful for that. He is a very affectionate leader, and each and every time he will be encouraging me to continue to do my job well. So I sincerely thank President Xi for that.
Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
With the Legislative Council election approaching, Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan has emphasized the Council's role as a channel for gathering public opinion, urging citizens to vote proactively. Jeremy Zhu reports.
Ahead of the second electoral poll under the reformed electoral system, which is set for December the 7th, Chan stated on radio that a strong voter turnout would bolster the legitimacy of the elected lawmakers. He urged Hong Kongers to examine the candidates' policy platforms carefully. Citizens must not think all legislators are the same because all of them are patriots, and that it doesn't matter who to vote for, Chan said, explaining that each individual's stance and focus areas differ. For example, some may prioritize workers' welfare, while others might focus more on economic development. The government's recent promotional efforts, he added, aim to explain the importance of the LegCo and encourage all eligible voters to participate. Chan called on civil servants to lead by example and fulfill their civic duty to vote. He also urged the business sector to support staff by flexibly arranging working hours on the voting day, suggesting a half-day holiday. As many polling stations are located within schools, the day following the election will again be designated as a school holiday. Meanwhile, with all lawmakers aged over 70 giving up re-election, Chan noted that succession is natural for any organization, adding that new faces in the council could help bring in the voices of younger generations. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Ocean Park Chairman Paulo Pong said with several new projects in place in the coming years, the park is expected to require additional expenses, which will be reflected in ticket prices in the long run. Pong also reviewed rescue plans for the park's water world, which has underperformed since opening 4 years ago. Ocean Park has reported an operating surplus of $42.4 million for the 2024-25 financial year, marking a positive turnaround. However, the figure includes a $280 million subsidy from the government earmarked for conservation and education programs. This funding is set to expire after the 2025-26 financial year. Speaking to iCable News, Pong expressed hope that some level of ongoing support would continue. Without it, we may not be able to sustain all our conservation and education initiatives, he said. Pong ruled out any immediate ticket price increases but acknowledged they are inevitable in the long term to ensure the park's viability. He highlighted upcoming projects, including a new panda exhibit, which will drive up costs in the coming years. The park's Water World attraction, however, continues to struggle, recording an operating loss of $148 million. Visitor numbers stood at around 250,000. Pong revealed that discussions are underway with mainland water park operators and hotel consortia for potential partnerships, with hopes of announcing progress before the summer season. He emphasized the need for adaptations, such as upgrading facilities or extending opening hours to attract more guests and reverse the segment's fortunes. Mainland's Shenzhou 21 spaceship has docked with the Tiangong space station, with its latest 3-person rotation crew at a record speed of just 3.5 hours following a successful launch. Jeremy Zhu has more.
Shenzhou 21 docked with the forward port of the Tianhe core module at 3:22 a.m. Compared with the 6.5-hour rendezvous and docking scheme used from Shenzhou 12 to Shenzhou 20, this new procedure has cut docking time by 3 hours. After the hatch opened, the 3 astronauts Zhang Lu, Wu Fei, and Zhang Hongjiang entered the Tiangong space station. They were greeted and embraced by the 3 Shenzhou 20 taikonauts, Chen Dong, Chen Zhongrui, and Wang Jie, who have been stationed on the space station for the past 6 months. This event marks the 7th space meeting in the history of China's space program. The 2 crews took a group photo to report their safety to the nation. The mission began with the spaceship lifting off as planned at 11:44 last night from the Jiuquan Launch Center in northwestern China, powered by a Long March 2F rocket. Approximately 10 minutes later, the spacecraft separated from the rocket and entered its intended orbit. During the 5-day handover period, the 2 crews will work and live together. The incoming astronauts will subsequently commence their 6-month residency to carry out space science and application work, as well as perform extravehicular activities. Notably, the mission also carries 4 laboratory mice for the first time for scientific research. After being in space for 5 to 7 days, they will return to Earth with Shenzhou 20. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Recent U.S. strikes on alleged Venezuelan drug boats in international waters have killed over 60 people, drawing condemnation from the United Nations Human Rights Office. Amid Washington's escalating operations and recent military buildup in the Caribbean, U.S. President Donald Trump denied planning strikes inside Venezuela. Jamie Liu reports.
U.S. media reported that the government has drawn up a list of potential military targets in Venezuela, likely to include ports and airports used by drug cartels. While the recent deployment of USS Gerald Ford Carrier Group in the Caribbean has intensified speculation, Trump denied that strikes on Venezuela are imminent.
Mr. President, there are reports that you are considering strikes within Venezuela. Is that true?
No.
That you made a decision on that?
No, it's not true.
Since September, the U.S. has carried out deadly strikes on boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific, with the latest on Thursday killing 4 men. The Trump administration insisted those targeted were transporting illegal drugs from Venezuela to the U.S. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk condemned the U.S. strikes, saying their mounting human costs are unacceptable. Turk warned Washington it may be violating international human rights law and urged for an immediate halt of these operations to prevent extrajudicial killings. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro accused the U.S. of creating a false narrative to justify an attack on his country. He said the Trump administration was trying to impose a regime change with the goal to steal the South American nation's oil wealth. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
4 giant cartoon characters cruised through Victoria Harbour in a farewell parade after a week-long stay in Hong Kong. Onlookers of all ages flocked to the spectacle, drawn by the festive atmosphere and pleasant weather. Jamie Liu shares more.
The globally viral Labubu, Sesame Street's Elmo, Japanese manga character Doraemon, and McDonald's Grimace leisurely enjoyed a swim. They were greeted by hundreds of visitors on both sides of the harbour, hoping to catch the parade this afternoon. Fans took the opportunity to snap a picture with the beloved characters, and even brought along a mini version for the encounter. The parade attracted spectators of all ages, with both children and adults reminiscing the good memories these characters have brought them. Wearing a Doraemon hood, this man was thrilled to see his favorite robot cat from the cartoon he had loved since he was little. To get a better view of the inflatables, some fans spent $150 on a limited deal for entry to the observation deck and a themed bazaar, while many watched it for free on the promenade. The organizer was happy with the turnout, which included overseas and local fans, and attributed the positive response to weather conditions. He said over 100,000 visits were recorded on each of last Sunday and Chongyuan Festival, and expressed hope to hold more similar events. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
On to the weather now. Mainly cloudy with 1 or 2 light rain patches tonight and tomorrow morning. Dry with sunny intervals during the day. The temperatures will range between 23 and 26 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our news tonight. I'm Cheryl Yun. Thanks for watching and good night.